fine. Okay. Great. Thanks.
Okay.
Plunking down there. Close to the mic so we can get out.
See here? Yeah, we'll give you a ride. And then the rest of it? Yeah, okay. That'd be great. Okay, you bet. Where did she go? There she is.
I'm just going to brighten up my screen here so I can use my speaking notes. And this is on. Great.
Won't touch any of that. I'm good.
Okay.
I got the old-fashioned method.
Okay.
Chairs, better than no chairs. Second.
I know you're all anxious to get on with this evening's festivities, so we'll just wait for a few more to arrive and then we'll get started. There's some seats down in here and there's a few in there, so It's nice to have a full packed room for these sessions, and I want to thank you all very much for coming down and attending this one. Still a few seats in here. All right, let's get started. Good afternoon, everybody. In keeping with the Towns and Villages session, keeping council out of the penalty box. My name's Dale Domey, and I'm the SUMA Director for Southwest Saskatchewan, as well as the Mayor of the Village of Mortlach. Just a quick reminder, I know you've all had a look at the where the emergency exits are, where the AED exits are, or AEDs are and everything, so you familiarized yourself. It's page 25. I have to go over it again. Reason we keep repeating this is because we want you to be safe and we want you to be familiar with the exits, etc. I want to also remind you that this session is being audio recorded as well as video recorded, so if you would please, if you have a question, would you please step up to the mic, identify yourself with your name and your community, and speak clearly into the mic so that not only the audience can hear your question, but also the presenter. All of this, the recordings are going to be available to you on the YouTube, SUMA YouTube channel later on in a week or two, and we want to make sure that all of the content is there for you to, avail yourself with. All right, now it's my pleasure to introduce Shari-Anne Doolaege, President of Sage Analytics. Shari-Anne is an executive, municipal, and academic Shari-Anne has an extensive municipal and academic background, enabling her to research and evaluate council conduct. She is an experienced municipal inspector in Alberta. For those of you with the new SUMA Convention app, you can read more about the presenter when you look at her full bio, which is on that app. You can see that the work she has put into gaining the knowledge that she is going to share with us today is of value. When we plan these events, we try to make sure that the topics that we are presenting are of value to you and are current. So please give our speaker your full attention, and we'll now turn it over to Shari-Anne. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dale, and welcome everybody. It's great to be here in Saskatoon with you today, and I'm delighted to be part of your 2019 SUMA Convention. I flew in from Edmonton yesterday, where it was equally as cold. To share a bit about you, or pardon me, about me, before we get to you, I've worked and studied in municipal government since 1996, and I'm a certified local government manager in Alberta. I'm a little familiar with Saskatchewan, and one of my life chapters brought me to the Waka-Cudworth area in 2008, where I made some lasting friendships. I started my consulting company in 2012 to take on some part-time contract work while I was studying for my Master's of Public Administration. More doors opened for me after I completed my MPA degree, and I continued to work on consulting projects. Now, Sage Analytics Incorporated from Canada has a strong team of municipal professionals with diverse disciplines. I've had the responsibility and the privilege of serving as a provincially appointed municipal inspector in Alberta, where I led our teams to complete municipal inspections in 9 communities since 2015. Most of these municipal inspection reports are publicly available online. This type of work focuses on the accountability, where we evaluate the conduct and actions of elected officials and appointed officials. I also led a governance audit for a Saskatchewan municipality in 2018, where our team was contracted directly with the municipality. Our team also works on intermunicipal collaboration projects, business case analysis, strategic planning, and complaints investigations. I'm also a qualified arbitrator. A favorite part of my job is to provide governance training, and I'm delighted to be here with you today to share some insights. I was reflecting on governance during a recent family ski trip to Panorama, BC, and I decided that both governance and skiing go a whole lot better if you follow proper form. When skiing, we try to keep our skis together, don't cross them, point them more downhill than uphill, avoid the trees, make graceful turns, take a lesson to get started, and challenge ourselves. Similarly, municipal council members take orientation training to get started. They try to keep their team together, they set direction, and they try to look graceful around the turns. And of course, councils want to stay out of the penalty box. Municipal government is an exciting field. As a child, I used to wonder, what do they do in there in those municipal offices? Now, I hold a unique and valuable combination of textbook theory and frontline understanding in municipal government. Now I know what they do in there, in those municipal offices, although I do have the odd surprise now and then. Interactions between council members sometimes lead to allegations of misconduct. Council conduct receives national attention. News articles surface frequently about elected officials who are the subject of a review or investigation. The lens of public scrutiny is harsh, and officials are often left scrambling to defend their integrity. Allegations of bullying and harassment are far too common. It will be a good day when we as a society can turn the page and accept healthy work environments as our new normal. Legislation has evolved in response to systemic conduct concerns. Most provinces require municipalities to establish a code of conduct or code of ethics. This sets out the framework and expectations for consistent, proper conduct of officials, and also establishes a means to investigate formal complaints. Besides policy documents, there is a need for council members to hold each other accountable and model appropriate conduct. It is tough. The nature of public office doesn't always attract every honorable leader, and sometimes good people get swept up in unfortunate situations. This emphasizes the need for current and ongoing education to assist officials to succeed in their roles and understand the consequences of misconduct. Governance is important work, and it is critical to have a healthy work environment. If council members dread going to meetings, that alone puts officials in the defense mode and stifles the important creative thinking and openness that is needed to solve problems in your community. If a council's prime time is spent fighting at a council meeting, it is a colossal waste of energy and a great disservice to your community. If your public sees hostility at your council table, it will greatly damage any confidence that the public has in your council's overall leadership. Council dysfunction makes the news and eventually will damage productivity and creep into your community. The outcomes are that good leaders resign and talented staff leave the organization running for higher ground, and community projects suffer. When I speak of dysfunction, I'm not referring to holding different opinions on local issues. That is healthy debate, like seeing a diamond from different angles. that we need to expect disagreements at meetings. What I'm talking about for council dysfunction is an intense level of hostility among officials, and there is a need to recognize and guard against council dysfunction. It has the potential to sabotage all of your good efforts. There's a broad antidote to dysfunction, like a broad spectrum vaccine. The answer is to be civil, to participate professionally, to have respectful debates, to listen openly, to appreciate diverse opinions, and have tolerance for each other. There are other components to maintaining proper conduct, but these are the key. Also, be sensitive when you hold an unpopular opinion. Articulate carefully so you do not find yourself offside or lacking political traction. Council should pursue healthy debate in order to advance the discussion on important local issues. Good debate leads to good decisions. Healthy council debate is like grinding the coffee beans to release the flavor. Councils will make much better decisions if they participate in honest and meaningful discussions. We will model respectful council debate later in the presentation with our impromptu volunteer council members who were just informed of their roles today and are standing by. Thank you in advance, and please stick around. Do not let anyone out the doors. Council members are expected to hold each other accountable, to police themselves in a sense. Sometimes this requires a formal action or enforcement, but correction can also be subtle, like the adage of straightening out someone's crown without embarrassing them. This might involve a closed portion of a meeting to discuss a council member's conduct without making a huge spectacle in front of the public and the press. A story stands out where two councillors had a heated and emotional exchange during a meeting, and the next day, one of the councillors showed up at the other's home. When the door opened, they shared a handshake and an apology and achieved reconciliation for offensive and causing hard feelings. This entrenched a deep respect for each other and their differences. Another political protocol I encourage for you in council interactions is to acknowledge your fellow council members when they are present at a function and you have the microphone. An example is to say that I'm pleased to be here with you today and I wish to acknowledge the efforts of my fellow council colleagues. Some of them are here today as well. Here's the mayor and councillor and councillor. This strengthens the team and shows mutual respect. Council staff interactions are another important area where council can stay out of the penalty box. There is a need to maintain role clarity between policy and implementation. Council, as you know, has a high-level policy role to provide vision, approve strategic direction, local initiatives, and budgets. Staff are the boots on the ground, completing the work as directed by the CAO, who is Council's one employee. In a sense, Council throws the football to the CAO, who carries that ball across the line and makes the touchdown to score a win for the municipality. Consider for a moment, what does a win look like for your municipality? Some CAOs have shared that they feel like their councillors try to tackle them when they're running with the ball. Remember that your CAO and your staff are on your team too. This administrative machinery is working hard to make council look good. Staff prepare recommendations for agenda items, and these are for council's consideration and should be in writing in a request for decision format signed off by your CAO. Council will deliberate the issue and eventually own the decision, which may or may not be consistent with the original staff recommendation. Appreciate that municipal staff operate in a fishbowl environment where their work is highly visible throughout the community. Municipal staff are some of your best community ambassadors, and they are also an easy target for public ridicule. If you receive a complaint about a staff member doing something egregious, do not assume the worst. Respectfully hear the feedback and bring it to your CAO's attention, or ask the complainant to contact the CAO firsthand. If a council member agrees with a public sentiment that a staff member is incompetent or even appears to agree, they are inviting negativity to enter the organization, and it will hit the coffee shops. They are dancing with dysfunction if council publicly criticizes staff, and this could also have legal implications. It is important to include professional development in your annual budget. This enables staff to be trained and capable to complete their jobs with excellence. There is a need to respect role clarity and organizational order. Recognize that there is a power imbalance between a council member and a staff member. If a councillor is supervising and directing staff, they would likely be acting outside the protection of the Municipal Act and could potentially be personally responsible for outcomes. A solution is to respect your policy role as council members. There is a good municipal adage for council to keep your noses in and fingers out of municipal operations. Don't invite disorder by directing staff. That is your CAO's job. If council is not satisfied with your CAO's performance, they should ask themselves if they have been clear on setting expectations and developing strategic direction. Our SAGE team recommends that council use a CAO performance evaluation toolkit, which is available online through CAMA, which is the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators. This is a relatively new resource for Canadian municipalities, and it links the CAO performance, the performance evaluation, to the accomplishment of the council's strategic objectives. The CAO is your one employee council. Hire well, compensate fairly, and provide your CAO with clear direction and feedback. Interactions with the public are an area where council can shine. In our experience through municipal inspections, the public is often calling for council to show stronger leadership. Your citizens have entrusted you to lead the community. This is a great honor. It is important to learn your role, to achieve excellence, and leave a positive legacy. Your job is to make decisions. You have a tremendous opportunity to accomplish good things. When I was skiing, my most embarrassing wipeout was when I lost momentum. I was indecisive and I slowed nearly to a stop, wondering if I should take the run to the right or the run to the left. And both were good options with some challenges, and suddenly I fell down. Poof. It was easy terrain, but because I lost momentum, the tiniest bump toppled me over. This can happen to municipal councils too. If you lack solid direction, even tiny bumps can throw you off your game. Small issues begin to seem like a big deal. As a council, you are tasked to develop a strategic direction and chart an exciting course for the future of your community. That is a pretty exciting job. That is your elevator pitch, your raison d'etre. Find a way to involve your public in developing that community vision. This can be as simple as hosting an open house and allowing the public to rate or comment on council's draft priorities for the community. As council, you can also evaluate your effectiveness as a board periodically throughout your term, rather than waiting for election day evaluations. Governance evaluation models are available through SAGE or other organizations. I encourage you as council members to have confidence in your decision-making. Before voting, state the reasons why you support or do not support a motion of council. This is respectful to your team members and to any public present observing the meeting. Sometimes we see council members who keep silent without participating in the discussion, and then they vote against an issue. When speaking on an agenda item, it is valuable to say, I support this motion or not, because, and state your reasons. The mayor or meeting chair also has a role to play to ensure that all board members or council members are heard. When hosting public hearings, remember that you are there to hear from the public. There is no need to get into a debate at a statutory public hearing. Listen openly to hear public comments at a public hearing. Council will then take all comments into consideration and make a decision for the best interest of the community overall. When dealing with the public through delegations, I encourage you to hear the message despite the messenger. I also encourage you to have formal delegations with information topics disclosed and submitted in advance, rather than allowing an open public mic or question period section of the meeting. Open mic comments can be very heartfelt, but they do run a high risk for emotional presenters to grandstand and attack public officials in an open public forum. Heartfelt presentations can also be made by formal delegations if a community member or organization wishes to address council. When hearing delegations, recognize that you are hearing the speaker's opinion. It is not a command for the council. It is the speaker's opinion. It is a request from your delegation. Council wants to build community relationships wherever possible. If you have a local chamber of commerce or a ratepayers group, seek ways to consult with them. Know that somehow you share a common interest in wanting the best for your community. If a member of the public calls you with a complaint, take that opportunity and capture the moment to ask them for a solution, or ask their opinion on another matter. They called you, so engage them. Political traction refers to the ability to articulate a position and gain support. This is found in individual council members and collectively as a council to advance regional initiatives. If a councillor is constantly antagonistic and criticizing, they may find themselves with very little political traction and support from their team. They may also find themselves in a bad light with the majority of the public. We often hear that government needs to be run more like a business. There is some truth to that when we think of private sector innovation, efficiencies, and of course, generating enough profit. But there is a lot more to the story. It is not an absolute to imply that government cannot be efficient and innovative. Ask any council that has worked through a budget process. In my Masters of Public Administration studies, I found a good description of the bigger picture of government. Professor Henry Mintzberg describes this as 4 hats that people wear in society. Government has broad responsibilities, and the relationship extends far beyond a transaction between a business and a customer. To summarize this concept, consider how we wear a hat of a citizen, where we elect our leaders to represent us and provide input to them during their term. We wear the hat of a client where governments protect the public interest, and this can also be seen through the delivery of social programs. The hat of a customer is largely transactional. If you pay for a pool pass, you get to swim. And good customer service is, of course, expected all around. The hat of a subject requires us to follow the laws and orders of our government. We follow speed limits most times, and we obey evacuation orders to protect us from fires and floods. Government has an important regulatory role to play to protect the public interest and ensure public safety. The private sector cares about these things too, and great partnerships can exist with government. However, the primary role for business is to maximize shareholder profit. These four hats show that government has a very broad role in serving society. If you think of other hats that people wear, please let me know. A closing quote on this slide from Professor Mintzberg is that I am more than a mere customer of my government. Thank you very much. And municipalities exist in a complex network of horizontal and vertical intergovernmental relationships. Executive regionalism is an article that I wrote a few years back to describe interdependencies between governments, along with the agility and reach of local governments. Ongoing interactions are part of the local landscape. Your municipal neighbors are not moving away. Make these interactions peaceful. Bring a positive light to the table when you're meeting with your regional partners. This article is available on our website at sageanalytics.ca. The SAGE Governance Workshop is a meeting simulation to model respectful council conduct. And I invite our volunteer council members to join me at the front now to take your seats and get yourselves comfortable. And I'm going to keep talking while you're moving. So I developed this workshop in 2013 near the conclusion of my MPA studies. And some of you may recall this workshop from SUMA in 2015, but this is a new and improved version with even more contentious issues and hot topics. This workshop is usually a half a day, but you're getting a SUMA-sized compressed workshop. A key message in the meeting simulation is that diverse opinions matter, and these opinions need to be wrapped in respectful debate. In this cartoon, everyone looks, acts, and thinks the same. Remember that we do not have a consensus model in local government. Decisions are made by majority rule. We have councils with more than one person for a very good democratic reason, and our system is designed to make room for diverse perspectives. That is normal. Council members should expect that someone at their table will disagree with them every day. It is okay to respectfully disagree. You should respectfully get a degree. Sorry. But to reiterate, it's okay to get a degree, and it's okay to respectfully disagree. Sometimes your council colleagues will agree with you, and it's also okay to respectfully agree. Although constantly unanimous votes can signal a lack of individual thought and contribution to the discussion. I will now invite our volunteer council members to please introduce themselves. They each have a profile that they will champion through the meeting simulation. And so if we could start, please, at this end with Councillor Grande.
Yes, I'm Councillor Grande. I like lavish spendthrift. Bigger is better. More parks, more projects. Favor excess!
Well, unlike my counterpart, I am Councillor Miser. You know, money's hard to come by, so I tend to watch the pennies. The dollars will follow. I am a minimalist. I like to have our assets last as long as they can. Never buy today what you can put off till next year. I am.
Good afternoon. I am Mayor of SUMA City. I was elected in a by-election in September, and with my charismatic ways, I'm here to help these councillors here come and enjoy, not spend so much, spend a little bit more, calm down a little bit. And we know we all need jobs, but I'm here to help them roundabout and make a great team effort and make the best decisions they can.
Hi. I'm wild. I love sports. I love all kinds of sports. But to get on this council in October, my platform was environment. That's what got me in.
And I am Councillor Jobs. I am a commercial sector advocate. Growth means jobs, and I favor hasty decisions.
All right, thank you very much, Council. Just hold on for a moment. All right, and so before you begin, Madam Mayor, I'll hand it over to you in just a second. So the mock agenda items that Council is deliberating today are based on real issues that some municipal council somewhere has had to debate and decide. We are borrowing these issues, and we have changed some of the details to protect the identity of the communities involved. Today, Council is considering the following requests for decisions. One is a Formula One raceway development, where a private society is requesting financial support to build a new building. Second, airport land development, where Council is considering closing a downtown airport in order to accommodate new residential and commercial growth. There's also an Olympic bid that Council is considering submitting an application to be a host city for the 2026 Winter Olympics. And if time permits today, Council will deliberate the development of a splash park on a piece of donated land in an industrial area. So with that, I will turn it over to Madam Mayor, and also to your trusty volunteer CAO, Mike, who will introduce the staff recommendations for the agenda items. All right, over to you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting of SUMA City to order. All councillors are present, and I would like to have a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
I would so move.
I'll second that. We gotta get this show on the road.
All in favor? Carried. Moving on to current business.
So we have under current business, Your Worship, we have the request for decision on the raceway, and the staff recommendation is that council decline the request for funding related to the Formula One Raceway upgrades, and the information is in front of you.
Thank you. I'd like to call for a motion to accept Formula One's request for funding for upgrades to the raceway.
I'll second that.
I need a mover first, please.
Oh, well, I'll move that.
Seconder? Wild, I think you might want to do that. Seconder?
I can't second that one.
Well, I'd like to speak to the motion if I could.
Once I have a seconder, you sure can.
No.
One?
Ms. Jones wants.
I think, Mr.
Oh, come on now. I mean, look, we have to look at this seriously, folks.
So what I think I'm going to do so we can start this conversation is I'm going to step out of the chair. I'm going to ask that Councillor Grande take the chair, and I will second that motion.
Somehow, I don't think you can do that.
Honestly, you can.
She's here.
Here you can.
Sure, I'll second it
All
so
right.
that we can discuss it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dobbs. Okay, let's have some discussion. So, since you're so eager to speak on this, Councillor Grande, go ahead.
Well, I'm very concerned that we're going to lose this Formula One raceway altogether if we don't agree to this $42 million expenditure to upgrade the pits. I think it's important that we move forward with this agenda item, and I think even if we have to borrow the money, I think we should go ahead with this.
Well, I have to speak against this. What other infrastructure developments are we going to have to cut out in order to take $42 million of the $62 million, which is a pretty big percentage for us to have to deal with? I mean, the province is only coming in for 18 million. What else are we going to have to cut out? And what kind of damage is there going to be if there's a Formula One raceway that's being expanded? Why aren't they putting the money in?
Question. Mr. Wild?
I love raceway. But I'm new. So really, like, what do? Do we have a raceway? Do we fix the infrastructure? And I am new, so I'm going to just sit and listen to these guys. They got more experience than me. But I'm sort of torn in between the two sides. But I really want the raceway.
And I have to agree with Councillor Grande. We really need to move on this and fast. If we don't, somebody else will take this opportunity. And if we look at the details, this means jobs. So jobs in building the new pit, running the raceway, ongoing tourism. More jobs equals more money through taxes, and therefore we can put that money into the infrastructure that may struggle in the short term.
Hear, hear.
Thank you very much for all your comments. I am not on the fence with this. I'm actually really thinking that I do not support this at all myself, is because we do have other projects on the go and things to look at. And really with Formula One, they haven't really given us much information on how they could sustain this, and they want us to take the $60 million hit. So if there's no more debate on this, I'll ask one more time, and then we'll call the question. Anything else to say? Councillor Grant? Yes?
Is there any environmental issues with this motion?
Well, for all in favor, we don't have all the details for this motion to go forward. So again, I don't have all those questions for you. CEO, do you have anything on that?
No.
Okay.
Not since 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Moving forward then, all in favor? Opposed?
He didn't get his hand up, Father.
No, I voted against it.
Motion defeated.
Motion defeated.
Oh my goodness.
worship, we'll move on to the current business, second current business in front of you, the airport request for a decision. The staff recommendation is that council approve the closure of the city center airport in order to accommodate future residential and commercial development. The information is in front of you.
I need a motion to close the Rocky Flights Airport.
I'll make that motion.
Nice job. Seconder?
Okay, I'll second it.
And conversation around this. Let's start at this end over here.
Sure, I do believe that we need to close this airport and we need to act fast because it will be a bit of a process. If we close it, it'll allow for further residential and commercial opportunities, and just think of the jobs that will create. All of the construction and the potential for commercial businesses means more cash for our ratepayers and more jobs and more money. This is an opportunity for growth. And if we look at the numbers, the land value is incredible and the numbers don't lie.
Councillor Lau?
My turn?
Yes.
Okay, we got two airports here. One is 45 minutes away. And I agree with closing that airport, but I really would like to see some green space, not just residential. It's got to have some green space. It's got to have a dog park and just have it so everybody can enjoy it, not just fill it up with buildings. That's my take on it.
Thank you. Councillor Grande?
I'm against this simply because of the environmental issues surrounding the closure of the airport.
Hey!
That I don't think we have all the information together to make that assertion. And I would also like to know what the usage of the airport is over the last 12 months as to whether it's viable, or if the concept of a regional airport could be used, or something along that line. And I don't know right now. The other thing is what information I need is what is the availability of residential property right now? Is this property that we really need? Are we gaining some tax dollars from it as it is? What's the cost of surveying? What's the cost of putting in water and sewer? All of those issues need to be identified before we move forward, in my opinion.
Councillor Miser?
My feeling is rather that we need to know a lot of costs. What are our costs going to be, as my co-councillor said here? What are our costs going to be for decommissioning this? What costs are we going to have to incur, or are we going to be able to have development groups come in to develop this area? But I have another concern, and that is, right now, if we have an air ambulance that has to come in, it can come in right to the city center. If someone here has a heart attack, we want them to be able to get the service they need quickly. If they have to get 45 miles away before they can get to the air ambulance, that could really impact. I do agree with the thought that where the airport is at the moment is infringing on the entire city because of the fact that we can't have buildings over 2 stories close to it. But we're sadly lacking in information to make a decision on this.
Great. I totally agree with the both of you on this, and I understand that we do need jobs and everything else, and to continue our growth. And what we need in here, and this here is also part of Council's strategic plan. So again, I feel that we do need more information on moving forward before we make this.
I think Councillor Wild had a point.
Did you have?
No, finish.
So, Councillor, I'll ask one more time if there's any more conversation before I call the question.
Just to add to the medical part, we have stars in Saskatchewan, and we can provide a place for them to land anywhere.
So CO, you got those questions and stuff that we need to get information on written down?
Yeah, yes, I did, and also if somebody would ask me about the environmental study, I can answer this one.
Environment, yes.
An environmental study is needed before approving any residential use. Federal approval is also needed to close the airport since a big word, our federal jurisdiction.
Thank you.
Aeronautics.
Thank you very much. So again, with that, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Defeated. Boy, we're not getting it.
Moving on, Your Worship, to C of the new business, Olympic bid, request for your decision on this. Council, staff recommendation that council supports an application to submit a bid to be the host city for the 2026 Winter Olympics. Information is in front of you.
Thank you. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Jobs, seconder.
Oh, of course.
Conversation around this.
Well, I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I mean, I think we need some collaboration with neighboring communities and perhaps some funding requests from them. But I think we'd be a fool in a pot if we didn't approve this.
Your worship. The total project is to come in at 5 billion.
So what?
2.2 of that will come in through grants. 1.5 from the feds and 700 million from the province.
Hell of a deal.
That still leaves us with 2.8 billion to be funded by the city or through fundraising. Well over half of it. Here's another thing. There was a plebiscite held. 52% of the voting people said yes, but there was only 40% turnout, which means 20.8% of the electorate support this. One more point, and that is that the Olympics have been known. They are notorious for being money pits.
Oh, come on now.
Up to as much as 20%.
Oh,
Respect,
Which
Councillor
is
Grant.
another 1 billion. Thank you very much.
miser.
Wild.
Of course, I'm going to vote in favor of this. Think of all the sports that are going to come in this winter. Wow. And think of the money we're going to make and all the visitors coming in. I think we'll make money. I really do. But anyway, we got to also acquire some land. What did it say here? Some environmentally sensitive lands would be acquired to accommodate the Olympic Village. Doesn't that sound nice? Okay, I'm just new, but I agree that we should take a crack at it.
Councillor Job.
And I would agree as well. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I think that we do need to honor the plebiscite and the results of that. And also, if we look at it, it does align with our strategic initiative as well. And I'm just imagining the jobs that would be created in building those 2,000 affordable housing units. This is a remarkable opportunity that we cannot let pass by.
Thank you very much. With that, I guess I have to say that, you know, the city is, SUMA City is a winter city. We're very much into supporting things and making sure that our community is vibrant and moving forward. But as I sit around this table and then the stuff that needs to come and the major decisions we have, a 10% increase in our taxes to cover this bill is quite an increase. Plus also, as Councillor Miser had pointed out, you know, 20% increase of our voters that do not want this or are in favor of it. I think we need to, once again, take another look, have another plebiscite, just to see where we're standing, because as of right now, I'm not in favor of it. So,
Correction, Your Worship, it's 5% increase, not 10.
thank you very much. Getting old, I can't see. Anyways, any more conversation around this?
Well,
before call the
I
question?
would just like to make a comment from Councillor Miser here, that there are statistics, damn statistics, and then there are the truth. And 60% of the people in our community could give a rat's ass about this project because they didn't vote. So I'm thinking that, you know, the 52% that supported it are truly could care less about a measly 5% increase in their tax base. Me as a taxpayer, 10% would be fine with me.
Councillor Miser, would you have anything else to say on that?
I still cannot imagine that coming up with not only the 2.8, but the other 1 billion is going to make our taxes raised for years and years to come. I cannot support this.
Any other further discussion?
Your Worship, I just want to comment on your comment about perhaps hosting another plebiscite. I don't know if that would be a good use of our ratepayer dollars, just to complete another plebiscite
And
until
what will
those
that
results are
cost?
favorable.
Noted, thank you. Right then, nothing else? I'm seeing that. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. We're getting the Olympics in 2026! So with that, as I've seen, as time is getting away from us, I'm actually going to have a motion to table the last of the splash park proposal. Seconder? Perfect, carried. What?
This was an in-camera meeting.
Okay, thank you. Oh, pardon me. Oh, thank you very much for all your presentations and your participation. And I would actually want to introduce the council members, my apologies on that, with their actual personalities. Catch them before you, or we'll introduce you right at the end, okay? Great. Good job. And key component there, it's, I know, besides great team building, it emphasizes the message that you can have diverse opinions on an issue and see different angles of the issue. And so that was very well done. And thank you so much to the participants, the impromptu SUMA City Council. All right. We're winding down here, and then we'll make some time for questions, and also to allow the council members to introduce themselves that participated. But I would like to invite you to connect with me and Sage on Twitter and LinkedIn if you wish. I've also provided some of my business cards at the table at the back of the room, and some at the front. So on our Sage LinkedIn profile page, you can post a comment to describe a municipal win. And since it is 2019, we're offering a prize for the 19th person who posts a municipal win. We will also offer another prize for the comment that receives the most likes. And so if you're technically savvy and interested in participating in that, you're more than welcome. A couple of examples are already posted. One is that reaching agreement on strategic priorities for a municipality is a win. Deciding where to toss that ball is a good start. And fellow academic colleague David posted that seeing everyone play in their respective role is a win. So that's a couple examples. A key message from today's presentation is to debate respectfully through council deliberations. It is important to debate the issues and advance the discussion on important topics. Without grinding those coffee beans, you would have a very bland cup of coffee. And without good debate, you risk making weak decisions. You will feel the pressure and the burden of your office at times, but consider this like the adage of the pressure in the ball that gives it its bounce. I encourage you to have some fun during your council term as well. Enjoy your time together and be determined to work well together. On my ski trip, it was challenging, beautiful, and exhilarating all at the same time. At times, I focused on breathing deeply, just enjoying that moment with the mountain air and mountains as far as I could see. And for you, councils, this is your moment. This is your term, and I encourage you to breathe deep when it's exhilarating, to sustain you when it's challenging. Thank you very much for having me here today, and I wish each of you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shari-Anne. I'm sure a lot of us recognize those people on our councils, and there's some very valuable information there. I'm sure we can all take it back to our own communities. I'd like to give you a thank you card on behalf of SUMA for taking part of this, just a token of our appreciation. I'd also like to thank our actors. They did a fantastic job, and thank you all very much.
If we could kindly introduce yourselves and get rid of your incognito profile. Thank you.
Looking out at the audience, there's some people here that know me. My name's Murray Clark. I'm the proud mayor of Lemberg.
Thank you, Murray, or Mr. Mayor, and thanks for playing the role of Councillor Grande. Then we also have Councillor Jobs, if you could kindly introduce yourself.
I'm Anna Zoller from the town of Dalmany.
Thank you. And running up to the mic is Councillor Wild, our rogue Councillor Wild.
I only knew about this about 20 minutes before I had to go up there, so it was sort of a challenge for all of us, but it was fun. Anyway, I'm from Hudson Bay. I'm on council right now, but I was mayor for 13 years. And before that, I was on council for 9 years, so you guys got a long term ahead of you.
Thank you. And Councillor Miser, if you could kindly introduce yourself.
I'm Pat Jackson. I'm on the SUMA board from the Southeast, and I am the deputy mayor in Kipling. And I try very hard. My character was based on a councillor I knew the first term I was on council 30-some years ago.
And thank you, Councillor Miser, for not disclosing the name. Madam Mayor.
My name is Michelle McKenzie, and I am the proud mayor of Maple Creek. And that wasn't too much of a stretch of how I usually am, other than I got a little unrowdy. I don't know how you would have handled somebody like that at the council table. Did you do a couple shots afterwards? Or? Anyways, it was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. And our trustee CAO.
Yes, hi, Mike Thorley. I am from the town of Esterhazy. I am the acting administrator.
Thank you. And so you're actually not the acting administrator, are you? Oh, acting. Oh, so acting administrator, and for the simulation, acting administrator. You were for the simulation, you were the real deal. Great. Thank you very much. And I ask the members to please see me afterwards for a small token of my appreciation.
Good, thank you. Are there any questions for before we adjourn? Awful quiet out there. I'm sure you're want to get home, get changed for the big banquet tonight. Just a reminder that the sessions are all available on SUMA's YouTube, and that channel will be available later on this month. If you're attending the President's Banquet tonight and the award ceremony tonight, the doors will open in this building at 6:30. Hope to see you all there. Thank you very much for coming out this afternoon.